We're back. We are back. I had to briefly step out for a moment. There was a quick little media call with Alexander Command, the number 12 overall pick of the New Jersey Devils in the 2026 NHL Draft. Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Anthony Corona, here on Speaking of the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And just going to let people file in here. But it seems as though, from a quick peek on the Twitter as well as the chat in the previous live, when the pick was announced, I think most people are frustrated with the fact that the Devils made a pick of any kind with that number 12 pick, as opposed to the negative sentiments, I guess, about the player specifically. And look, I certainly understand it, right? This team, we've talked about it for a long time. The core guys outside of Jack are rapidly approaching 30. The time to win is now, or so it would seem. But Sonny, did not have a deal in place where he felt comfortable trading that number 12 pick. I'm sure he tried, and I know everyone's going to come with the fit stuff and all of that. But I think there is a fundamental difference when talking about a guy like Sonny versus Fitz, because number one, it was years of Fitz in inactivity that was frustrating people, specifically during the season when there was signs of things that they needed, whether it was the goaltending in 23-24 or additional scoring in 24-25, whatever you want to call this particular past season. I think that was, the Chicago cut thing, everything went off the rails. But Sonny's not going to take shortcuts. And so he has openly talked about the fact that he wants to win now and later. And he thought it was in the best interest of the New Jersey Devils to draft with this pick versus trade it for something he may not have really thought was a good fit. Now, I know a lot of people were talking about all the other trades that were coming down and all of those things. I guess I'll talk about Dorofeyev specifically. When the trade was announced, the Devils certainly had similar pieces to be able to make that deal. But do you want Dorofeyev to be your only move really going forward in terms of meaningful moves? To pay him $11 million after making the trade for him, I think that money could be spent better elsewhere. I'm sure some of you are just so desperate for any sort of addition that you would say, oh, the Devils should have done it. But I think you're going to have to be a little patient here. There's a lot of issues that, were left behind by Fitz that Sonny now has to navigate, whether that's the farm system. Utica's kind of a mess. The needs of the New Jersey Devils. And again, the puck isn't dropping tomorrow, as someone pointed out in the previous live. There is still ample time to make improvements to this team, whether that's with future trades. The free agency class is not the best, but there's certainly going to be trades in this league after tonight. Now, this is the most active kind of frenzy time for trades, the couple days leading up to the draft and on draft night. And we saw how excited Bettman was to jump in there with his trade alert, that little trade alert thing they had in the arena. The only thing I could tell you guys is I certainly understand the frustration, but I think you have to be a little patient with Sonny. He's got a lot on his plate. And he thought the best move they had was to draft with the pick. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with that. Justin, have to give Sonny time. I agree. There's a lot here, right? And Command could be a good player, but to everyone's point from before, not going to help this current core most likely push for a cup. He's probably a few years away. It's a nice piece to have in the pipeline, and we'll probably get a look at him in development camp next week. But, oh, God. You got to wait and just let the dust settle. There's still time this offseason. Jay Sharon, people might not like it, but this is the type of player Florida is filled with. Command is going to be an annoying SOB. Brennan plays. Love the player, but we could have gotten him by trading down or up from 35. I also just wanted to pick on for top 6 help now, especially with Bjork calling off the board. Belchitz too. Well, they could have picked Belchitz. He didn't go till I think 17. But a lot of people, the knock on him is the skating that obviously probably led to him getting drafted a little bit later than many mock drafts. But I understand the top 6 help now want. I totally get that. And I'm sure Sonny tried. And I'm not making excuses. This is just the reality of the situation that he inherited. Zach says, can't wait to see Command debut in 29. Crazy Alex, we back. Wait, what's going on here? Billy G's back? Oh, just for the award. Arrest Tom Fitzgerald. We need to target Marchenko 100% at this point. He would be the perfect addition up front. I think he would be very good as well. Now, what the package would take to get him, again, even without this pick, because we drafted, I still think there's plenty of pieces that could be dangled. You're talking about future picks, potentially roster players, prospects. There still are some tools, but a lot of you are really, really bloodthirsty. And like I said, I sort of get it, but this is not, it'd be more, I feel like it'd be more justified if Fitz was still here and this was happening. Then it would make sense. Like, okay, this is what you do after what you've done or did not do for the previous past seasons. But you got to give him some time. It says Jack is gone as soon as he can. He's out. I don't necessarily agree with that either. I do think that's a bit of an exaggeration. You guys really want the blood, though. Really bloodthirsty. Twitter's ugly. Twitter is ugly, ugly. I want them to actually make a move. Brody, if the Devils don't go anywhere this year, I think Nico leaves. Well, they're most likely going to sign an extension for Nico Hischier that I expect will be announced on July 1. An extension of some kind. Moose Man, most analysts had Command between 19 and 25. Some had him lower than even that. The Devils overreached at 12. Yeah, but you don't know what other teams were planning on. There's a chance he could have been picked the next pick. I understand people look at the draft boards, but you look at Belchitz, he went, 17th? He was top 10, top 11 in a lot of mock drafts. You know, these are essentially guesses by people doing these things. So I understand you looked at a mock draft and you're like, oh, he was lower. They could have got him later, but you have no guarantee of that. Eddie Benzie, abysmal start for Mehta. Oh, man. Susswall Music, love this pick. The highlight reel says a lot along with the combine performance. He is very quick, has a great shot and hockey sense. They got to you, too. I don't know what that means. I am not wavering from the notion that, in my opinion, the Devils would have been best served by looking for immediate help with the pick. But you can't just will things into existence. I'm sure Sonny is looking for a top 6 winger, and I'm sure he had conversations. We don't know. But I from what he said and everything we've known about him thus far, I don't think he was just sitting there like, I'm dying to draft with this pick. He didn't think there was a deal worth taking. I mean, again, did you want to pay Dor $11 million a year? Matt Jones, everyone going to talk no matter what. Give this guy a chance. He's not going to make stupid moves. The card he was already dealt. I think that's a very fair assessment. Calming Loop says we need a big star added to the forward group. I mean, that's what most people want. But again, a lot of times the best additions teams make aren't flashy names and they're more mid-level players. that could be the case here. There's still options for a big swing also. I don't think it's likely, obviously. I think if that was going to happen, it probably already would have, but there's still plenty of ways to improve the team before the season starts. I hope Nico gets traded. That's not happening. He's going to sign an extension probably on July 1. Zach Chen, it's not just the pick tonight. It's the fact that we traded 2 other picks for Amadeus Lombardi and Declan Chisholm, just wasting draft capital. Well, if we're being real, Zach, I mean, what do you expect most fourth-round picks to turn into anyway? I think history would tell you that, by and large, you're not finding – again, there's outliers. Obviously, Brader was a late pick. But for the most part, guys drafted in the 4th round don't become massive contributors at the NHL level. Again, you'll find exceptions to anything. But to get a guy that could potentially push to be on the opening night lineup on the blue line in Chisholm, and Lombardi has a chance to crack the bottom 6. The bottom 6 is far from set in stone. There's going to be some guys that are not brought back, and there's going to be some change in that bottom 6. Lombardi could potentially become a guy that sticks there. We talked about him earlier. He's averaged almost a point per game over the last 2 seasons in Grand Rapids in the AHL. Those are depth moves, but you're going to cry about 4th-round picks being used for essentially players that you're maybe going to get in the 4th round anyway. I don't know. I just think this is a lot of frustration and kind of ill will that's been pent up from Fitz. And you have to understand, this is a different guy, and he did not do all of the things that got the Devils to this point. Matthew E says the rankings on prospects and drafts means absolutely nothing. Yeah, people are going to keep referring to mock drafts where they saw him lower and then say the Devils reached. But, he could have been just as high on other draft boards as well. World's Worst Gamer says, I might be forced to watch the NBA this fall, winter, and spring. Oh, come on now. SJ, the time to win. The time is now to win is the problem. Jack will not be on his insanely good contract forever. And that is a valid point, right? Not only is the other core guys, aside from Jack, getting older and approaching 30, but you would like to see a push while you have a tremendous value contract, in the Jack Hughes deal, $8 million, 4 years left, one of the best contracts in the league in terms of value. You would like to see them make some pushes before his next deal. And that in conjunction with the age of the other core players is why many people feel the team needs to make a push and make it soon. Suk says, don't go out and get mid-level players to play with your star players, though. They need to get a star winger or one of similar status. You can't keep stringing these bums to Hughes' wing. Everyone, or almost everyone, is in agreement that the top 6 winger has been the most pressing need for this team since the departure of Tyler Toffoli. Toffoli left. I think almost everyone assumed he was going to be replaced. That obviously never happened, and the answers were not in the room. We've seen a rotation of guys tried out there. It has not panned out. So I agree that they need the right winger, and by right, I mean the correct winger, not specifically right wing, but they need the proper guy to play on the wing with Jack, a shoot first guy. A lot of people have brought up Marchenko. He's a very good player. He's not maybe the star name that some other guys are, but I'm curious, Suk, what would you feel about Marchenko? Would you consider him less than what you were hoping for? TJK, I don't care. I want proven players, not uncertain questions. This is just a reoccurring theme. Frank, this is not a bad pick. New GM, first order of business, fortify the middle, hockey 101. I'd say the Devils are more in win soon mode rather than being in win now mode. I think the best window is obviously the Jack Hughes contract, right? There's 4 more years. So maybe, Sonny's plan is to ice a competitive team for a year or 2 and then really ratchet it up in a couple years. It's not what most people want to hear. And I understand that everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of you are just super furious right now, but just let the dust settle. There's still plenty of time to target guys in trades and to improve the team. SJ need Timo and Bratter to step up. Everybody across the board needs to step up. Exo the Juice Man, thank you for the super. Doomer's going to doom. People need to chill out and let Sonny cook. That's kind of where I'm at. I have to believe with his experience and just the way he talks and being right there with Zito for those cup teams, the guy seems intelligent, and I think he knows what he's doing. Now, I know a lot of people are still going to just keep complaining, and to some extent, I understand, but you have to be able to take a step back and realize the guy got a messy situation on his hands, and he's not going to be able to fix it all in a year, and it takes time. There's still plenty of time to fix this team and improve this team before the regular season begins, though. That's what – let me just see what else you got here. Shout out to everybody who came back. I briefly jumped off to go on the call with Command. Marchenko like to Montreal. World's Worst Gamer. Anyone have a running total on how many scoring wingers have been traded or signed unrestricted free? Well, free agency opens up next week. Snow says, I really think it's going to be essentially the same team. You had to realize that was a possibility, though. There'll be small, at a minimum, small tinkerings, obviously, and I know that's not what people wanted. Jay Snow, no big top six player, maybe fourth line. There'll be some new bottom six guys. Samuel, give me one third liner who could score 20-ish goals and a second liner at 25-ish goals, and this team clicks. Trade those first rounders for something close. Dana says, I don't know. I'm just not feeling all that optimistic with Sonny. Sorry. Our Roma, blame Fitz all you want, but it was our idiots. Ownership group run wild. Markey contract was insanity. Blitzer should have stepped in at that point. I've talked about this before. That was definitely something promised to Markey way before they announced it. Now, I understand that doesn't make it any better of a contract and doesn't make anyone feel any better, but that's the reality. There's no way that in the middle of the season, Fitz was like, oh, let's extend this guy for $6 million. Like, that was definitely talked about well before the announcement. No, it was just very brief. He was asked a couple questions. I asked a question. It was pretty quick. The Devils may post it. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the highlights for this kid, all right? Here's some highlights. Nice shot.
Directing traffic. One of the better chances for Canada West so far. Here comes Sweden. Down the wing. He scores! How did that one go in? What a shot by the High Canada. It's still afternoon if you're tuning in from north of the border. One-timer. He scores! Come on! An absolute ripper. Top cheddar. No chance for Timmerman into the power play as the Swedes will not capitalize. Tironi's out of the box. He scores! Short side. Alexandercommand. Right as Tironi stepped out of the box. Finds a hole. And they're in command. It's 1-0. Doesn't maybe need to score. Needs to take time off the clock, and he does that so well. Come on. Looking for Zeroth. He's in. He scores. What a feed. Official says no. Alley's out the other way. What happened? Craziness.
Elofsson fans. Has it again. Feathers it. Command. finds Erath. He scores.
That was a nice little play.
Great feed. Excellent finish. And Sweden jumps in front.
We're just watching the highlights, guys. You're free to have whatever opinions you want. Nice little backhander. All right, that was a little video. I'm going to do a deeper dive later tonight. I'll probably do a video maybe tomorrow. I'll record about all this after I have more time to let the dust settle. I'm going to reluctantly go back into the comments, but you guys are like on one tonight. Suk says, I'd gladly take Marchenko. Consider that part of a win now move. Okay. So moves like that can still happen. Because they drafted tonight does not mean that a move like that could not happen. World's Worst Gamer, I'm not even asking to win at this point. I want this team to be offensively better. Steve Dave says this isn't a reboot. Devils fan says if you're going to trade the player, then don't reach. Get the highest value. Trade what player? I'm confused. Andrew says all they've done for years now is small tinkering moves. I agree with that. There hasn't been substantial, I guess if you're talking about trades. A couple summers ago, Fitz did make some big signings when he went out and got Pesci, Dillon. They traded for Kovacevic and Cotter. I understand those are not the big splashy moves, but it was an active offseason. This is brutal. Samuel with some knowledge here. Sonny inherited a no-cap, no-trade swamp. Not much on the free agent market. Let's just see if we need the future as bright glasses. Oh, hold on, guys. It's a great point, Samuel. Hold on. I moved them because I had to move a bunch of stuff. 1 second. All right, we're back. Suk says command highlights genuinely look promising, even if he's playing against bots on rookie difficulty. You guys are brutal. Mooseman says if Fitzy had been kept and made the same exact moves as Sonny has made, we'd all be roasting him. I think everyone's roasting this move, and I think it's premature. With that being said, it would be different if it was Fitz, I believe, just because he's the one that did or did not do the moves everyone or most of you wanted to see for the previous seasons leading up to it. So I do think it's totally different. You're completely correct in that Fitz would have been roasted for that. but it's a different era now, and I do believe that he has that Sonny has a plan. I don't think Fitz really did ever have a plan, at least a long-term plan. I think he just kind of operated in the moment. I do believe that Sonny has a well thought out plan. Now, a lot of you are going to disagree with this pick, no matter who he picked. And so I don't know what to tell you other than you're entitled to be disappointed. And again, I certainly understand it, but I do think before you guys get completely, dooming at the level that you guys are, wait till the season, till the season starts, and let's see what the team looks like then. Army says he's an above average skater, works hard two ways. Definitely not a bad pick, but Hemming would have been my choice. Hemming was on my list. I put out an article a few days ago for NJ.com, which, by the way, go subscribe to NJ.com. There's going to be tons of articles for you folks all summer long and throughout the season. But Hemming's a big boy, and I looked at a lot of his video. Looked like a promising player as well. But this is what Sonny does. He evaluates talent. He looks with his team, and they had command high on their board, obviously, and they made the pick. South Fork Yeti, a lot of the Cats moves when they got good were little additions of lower-level sleeper guys with solid analytics. I'm willing to let Sonny do his thing. What other choice do we have? That's a fair point. But these people just want big names, and they want them now. And anything less is not going to be acceptable to them. Prezify says everyone must remember that Sonny had Bratt projected at 10th overall. I trust him here. He did have Bratt ranked very high in his draft year. Yeah, some of those that was I don't know, it was in Sweden or somewhere, wherever that film was from. But yeah, there was a dog barking in the arena. No, it wasn't Chase Stillman. Jace, no, nothing against this kid, but we're losing Nemitz in the 12th and not getting a roster player. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I would have predicted that either the 12th or Nemo would have been dealt for win now help. I would have thought that, but that's not how it went down. Devils fans says, I guess Connor Brown is on Jack's wing again. Season doesn't start tomorrow, guys. Walt says this chat has become next level doom and complaining. I think it's just a lot of the online kind of chatter right now. If you go on social media, it's not any better. It's basically the same thing or worse. Honestly, people are just melting down. It's ugly out there. This chat is just a microcosm of how people are receiving this information. Douglas says all we need is some Toffoli. I will say at the time, and I love Toffoli. I was a Toffoli guy. At the time, a different cap era, I personally did not think it was wise to pay him the reported at the time, I think $6 million a year he wanted. I didn't think that was a wise use of cap space, and I was a big Toffoli guy. I thought that money would have been better spent towards a different top six winger. But if I knew the options were either pay Toffoli $6 million or kind of go crazy on defense and not get a top six winger, I would have gladly accepted Toffoli at $6 million. I think myself and most others thought that we were going to put that money towards a different top six winger. It did not happen. Fitz signed a bunch of defensemen, and here we are looking for a top six winger. I mean, it happens. It happens. Best I can do is a Jack Hughes USA sweater. I'm getting more texts. Wow. Yeah, this is oh man. It's a brutal night in the Devils ecosystem, just listening to everybody vent about this. John says, update. My wife and kids have returned from the hotel, but they are still upset with the pick. SST is happy with this. I'm stunned. SST says, for once, the Devils drafted the right player. At big center, I am impressed. Snow said, maybe Sonny knows we need to rebuild and he's getting a head start. I personally do not take this as the beginning of a rebuild whatsoever. I just take it as nothing materialized that was worth trading the pick for, and they picked the best guy that they thought was available. That's it. Suk, I wonder how many Runnin' fans had no idea he changed channels are still waiting for it. Probably. Hopefully they eventually figure it out. Andrew says, been nice if Belchit's the bigger winger. I thought it was interesting, but I will say, you know, the skating knock, all the scouting reports consistently said, you know, skating was a weakness of his. And obviously it can improve, but I do think we've seen, for those that have been fans for a little bit, Reed Boucher, I talked about him on the earlier one, but Reed Boucher was lighting up the OHL. He was breaking the scoring records there. His knock was skating. He never materialized. I don't know. And there's been some other guys as well. So when I see skating, I'm like, if that's a huge weakness at this juncture, it's definitely a red flag. And probably the reason why he went lower than he was on most draft boards had him higher than, what did he go, 17th or 18th? Let me see. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. Yeah, he went 17th. 17th overall. World's Worst Gamer. Hey, guys, we got a worst roster at this point with the same coach. Even with the new GM, future is bright. Roma says, when Command has 40 points and wins 55% of his faceoffs in 5 years, are all going to look so foolish. I never thought, I thought for a while that Nyes was not going to go anywhere. World's Worst Gamer, Casey will have a great camp and then nowhere to go, and Devils will trade him for nothing. Casey's an interesting one for this season. What becomes of Seamus Casey? TJK, I do not care who we picked. It's that we picked. I said this before. Expect bottom six wingers in the top six. No defense. Dougie playing zero defense and terrorists. This is extreme on whose list for what, Snow. He was in the high teens on a lot of mock drafts. You're interested in Woodson's opinion on the pick. Sax Cat was upset at first, but watching more tape, this kid is actually a lot more physical than the bigger guys. Also 6'1", so he's not small, protects the puck very well. Yeah, but like everyone's saying, I think most of these people are just mad that the Devils picked with the draft, like that they made a selection versus trading it. Sax Cat says, y'all need to chill. 4 picks in 2 years to move. Looking like we could see Fitz 2.0. I guess I'm not so. I didn't expect the dooming to be at this level, but I guess I'm not surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore. My dog for GM, what sucks is thus far we lost potentially our best young defenseman for a possible 3C who won't crack the lineup until 3 or 4 years. Are you talking about Nemitz? Tonight's pick was the pick the Devils had. The conditional first rounders were not this year. So there's no correlation between the draft tonight and Nemo. Frosty the Bird. I didn't know the offseason ended today. Pretty sure Sonny still has the entire summer to make a move. People aren't trying to hear it, Frosty, but it's nice to see some people with a somewhat sensible take here. I mean, the season does not start tomorrow. There's still plenty of time to make additions to the team. Snow said, I agree at the time. We had no idea they wouldn't fill the Toffoli spot. Yeah. No, I just assumed, like, you know, they don't want to pay him the $6 million. They'll put that towards another top 6 guy, and that just didn't happen. And here we are still talking about replacing Toffoli years later. It is a bit shocking. But yeah, Fitz really believed that the answers were in the room, and he even said that. Got an awful return for Toffoli. That's another thing that really was unfortunate. I thought for sure they were going to get a first for Toffoli. And when it didn't happen, I was like, oof. Oof. My dog for GM, it'll be great watching Quinn sign 5+ years with Minnie. Then Jack joins him in 3 years and Luke pouts until he's traded there. Again, I think these are way, way, way too premature things to discuss. Obviously, down the line, if the Devils continue to struggle, could something like this happen? Yeah, but I mean, that's years away. World's Worst Gamer says, to be positive, I'm certain Quinn is still coming to NJ, and that certainly still could have happened. Snow says you wouldn't have taken Cairo at $8 million. I think I like Cairo at $8 million more than Dorofeyev at 11. Cairo at $8 million, that's a decent value, but I'm not as high on him as other people are as well. Would he have made the team better? Yes. But I always look for what is the best possible move you could make. SJ says, need Nason to get 40 points again. He was huge that year. Yeah, it would be extremely beneficial to the Devils if Nason can contribute. He was seeing a lot of power play one time as the net front guy. He was getting all kinds of tips and greasy goals. Then he had that injury after he came back from rehabbing from the surgery. And so who knows what he is going to look like when the season starts up. But if he could get back to anywhere near that level that he was at, that would be huge, because obviously this team is desperate for goal scoring anywhere they could get it from. John says it takes 2 to tango Tom, but better not be being replaced with it takes 2 to salsa Sonny. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Michael says, Reed Boucher, that's a name. I liked Blandisi. He had that goal against the Rangers. Thought he was going to be a solid bottom 6 guy for a while. Yeah, during those years, there was a bunch of guys that, you hoped were going to pan out, and it was just a constant rotation of underwhelming players. Brandon, a lot of people just don't realize how hard it is to trade nowadays. First, you need the pieces, need to be a winning team. Players need to want to come here, etc. Sonny can only do so much. Listen, I'm not here to make excuses. I believe the team should be in win now mode, and that includes trading the pick. With that being said, I also believe that Sonny is going to be, or will prove in time to be a pretty good general manager, and I'd have to believe that he explored every option available to him, and there was nothing worth doing. And again, that's not what people want to hear, but we're gonna see how he continues to maneuver this summer. I mean, there's still plenty of time. Army said Casey changed agents recently. Is he going to be moved? Anytime a guy changes agents, that's always the speculation. And he may be frustrated with being buried in Utica, and he may be looking for a new home. If he's not going to be on the Devils this season, I could see him requesting a trade. Whether that gets honored or not remains to be seen, but that certainly could be part of it. I'm sure he's just itching to become an NHL regular, and understandably so. Douglas Van Brunt says, bro, the only place with more negativity is a New York Jets chat room. Is it worse? Is it worse than the... I mean, Devils fans tonight, but by and large, seem to be in a bad place. Yeah, Twitter's quite the scene tonight. Ryan H., most of us have Fitz PTSD. We cannot punish Sonny yet. Although I expected to make a trade with the pick. Summer is still going strong. We'll see. And I think that's a fair assessment as well. People are just very bloodthirsty from the Fitz era. But this is a new era. This guy has his own vision, his own plan for the team, and let it play out. I know that's not what you want to hear, and people want immediate results or to cheer for a big acquisition, but they drafted with the pick. Suk says, no, now that Nemitz is out, Casey is coming for a roster spot. Anson says, people in other feeds think we got a steal in command. Yeah, I mean, with prospects, you're going to see, you could see guys that are ranked or, you know, yeah, I guess mock drafts. You see guys, there's disparities from one to another. There is no concrete right answer. And so for everyone that's like, oh, the Devils reached and this and that, based on what? A couple people's mock drafts? Moose Man, we're looking for signs that Sonny will be different than Fitz, and we're not seeing it. I mean, I think there's plenty of signs already. I mean, just from hearing him talk, but you cannot hold all the ill will from Fitz on him. I understand, but I think people just need to wait until we're closer to the season. Do you think he's just going to make a trade for the sake of doing it to appease the fans? I'm sure he knows that a large percentage of the fan base wanted to see him trade the pick, but do you really want a general manager that is going to make moves based on what fans want? I mean, some people would say yes, but I would tell you that's a terrible thing to do. Yeah, this is just super negativity tonight. Dire distress at this point. I'm going with Sonny. I'm giving him a long leash with what Fitz left him. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best situation, but it's better than a lot of other teams, and that's what you have to remember. The tons of teams would kill to be in the spot the Devils are in, even with all of the, you know, trade protected contracts and whatever else. There's still good pieces here to build from. Let me put my fan on. Chat is very, very active here. I'm just skimming this. SJ says, I'm guessing McEwen is not signed, which sucks. That's an interesting one. I could see he had a severe injury, so I think a lot of that is going to depend on what, I guess, the medical diagnosis is. He was out, you know, for a while, came back, and then got injured again. I mean, super unfortunate for him. I did think he looked good in the 2 games we saw him in. a big guy for the fourth line that could skate and bring some edge and snarl. I could see that one going either way. Andrew Lucas says, remember when this franchise was considered somewhat of a dynasty? I absolutely do. The Lou Lamoriello era was a very prosperous one. And despite many people's, I guess not many, but there's a percentage of people that try to discredit Lou or whatever with Lou. But the man was a winner, always did what he thought was best for the team, and the Devils have 3 banners as a result of it. Jason, this organization has been awful since 2012. Mostly outside of the, that 22-23 season, 2 other playoff appearances, which ended in first-round beatdowns to speak of in all those years. It's been a long time. But give Sonny some time. Give Sonny some time to fix things. It wasn't going to be fixed with one trade either. I know a lot of people would have been happy with a big name splash, and that still could happen. Oh, boy. Show talk. Seems like Sonny is going to keep the trend of we came in second when it comes to trades. Michael, let's be real. If Sonny can't fix all the bad contracts, personnel gaps, needs, and replace management staff in the first month on the job, it's not in the cards. Is that I don't know if that's I think you're being sarcastic. SJ says the fans are impatient, and I agree, need to win now. South Fork Yeti, a draft analyst for Daily Faceoff, said what set Command apart was he was a top-line center for Sweden, and he was a driving force behind the gold medal they won. This doesn't sound like a catastrophe. He has potential, could be a very good player for the Devils down the line. I just think more people... where there's some people complaining about the actual player, but I think most of the complaints are the notion of that, this is years down the line and not helping the team now. And that's why I think people are freaking out. Everyone needs to calm down, go get yourself some White Castle, and come back after you're calmed down. John T. Lou Lamb would have traded the pick for Connor McDavid. Why hasn't Sonny done that? Yeah. If only it were that easy, right? SJ, Jack single-handedly makes this a playoff team. Imagine if we had another player with that effect. Brandon says, I can see a world where people are angry we drafted this pick. I'm sure the core isn't very happy about it either. I'm sure the core guys want to see win now pieces brought in. But drafting with this pick doesn't mean that can't happen. There's still going to be trades around the league after tonight. John T., the Devils need an assassin on the team. That's the real issue, like a cold-blooded killer, someone not afraid to get their hands dirty, pick up a shovel or two, drive an Impala. Where is that player? Yeah, this might be one of the most negative nights, I think, in quite some time. I thought so. JWoww needs some future assets that align with the timeline. Which timeline are you referring to? DM Sank says we need to rebuild. I think that's certainly. I mean, what is your definition of rebuild? The traditional sense of rebuild is like, rip it down and start over. I don't think you could ever be in a true rebuild as long as you have Jack Hughes and the other players that they have here. I mean, I think that's a bit of a extreme opinion. Slim Gut Outdoor says break up the core we never learn. SJ, at least put young players near LaChance or Leggery, more physicality. LaChance and some of those other guys, it's going to be interesting to see if they make a push during camp. I do think there's going to be at least a couple bottom six spots potentially up for grabs, and can someone take it? Nick, I just think it's wild. The two biggest trade assets the team had walking into this week all turned into futures. I think that's fair. Like I said before, if someone had told me that the number 12 overall and Nemo, neither one would be used in a deal to bring in a win now piece, that would have surprised me a bit. SJ got loaded. What a trio. The Sharks, Mike Greer. Mike Greer doing it big. Anson Meadows, command is super physical. I'm staying positive here and trusting in the Sun Man. San Jose understands the power of properly tanking. We should take lessons from them. I personally think tanking is terrible on so many levels. A healthy Jack, SST. He's got to stay healthy. Brandon says, guarantee if a lot of the no-move clauses were gone, we would have gotten a few good pieces already. It's probably been a factor, right? I mean, the fact that guys are going to have to approve where they're going definitely makes trading guys more difficult, especially if you're trying to free up cap space to bring somebody in. The four directions, I don't mind the pick. I hope Sonny can make some more changes, but let's be real. With this roster as it stands, we're nowhere near winning a championship. I don't think it's as far away as people may believe. And I do think the severely underwhelming season that is probably affecting people's outlook of the team. But again, if Jack can stay healthy, you saw what he looked like after the Olympics. I do think he's going to have a monster season next season. Chris S. Expectation that Sonny was going to be able to completely overhaul the roster in a few weeks was always ridiculous with the amount of no-move clauses. I think that too. But I think the frustration, the people that are like super angry, I don't think they were expecting everything to be fixed, but they were just looking for that big name splash. And I get it. Like, that's an exciting thing and whatever else, but that wasn't necessarily going to fix everything for this team either. But people just feel like they're watching the same movie. But you have a new director, so you have to give Sonny some time. The season's not starting tomorrow. Oh. We got a trade. Must be somebody the Canadians really liked on the board. They moved up 2 spots. Matt Jones says, you would have thought we lost 9-0 to the Isles tonight. That night will go down in history. That was, wow. People were, talk about out for blood. I think there was like, I forget how many people were in the live. The chat was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. The Islanders night is one that I'll never forget. SJ, I didn't want to bring that up, and I do think Quinn is staying in Minnesota, but this could also be a part of it. You also don't know, is Sonny in on the Robertson sweepstakes? I would guess probably not, but the Quinn thing is certainly interesting. Is that looming in the background? Is Sonny waiting to find out if that's a done deal, or is he going to try to swoop in? I do think it's a done deal. We've talked about this a million times, but John T says, update, Devils fans are currently crowd-surfing Sonny out in the streets of Newark. He's last been seen in Hoboken. Analysts aren't certain where he'll be released. You guys are nuts. I think you're right, Matthew, that Quinn's going to sign in Minnesota. It's a matter of 5 years or 3. It seemed like that from the beginning, but people are going to be clinging on to hope till the very end. Trevor 95 Fire Fits. Would you be happy with Robertson at what AAV? At this point, guys are going to get paid. So, I mean, within reason, what he wants $13-14 million. Could you use the money better somewhere else? Potentially. But you just saw Door 5 get 11. So, do I think Robertson would be a great player for any team that could sign him up? Absolutely. But it's going to be $13 to $14 million bucks. I mean, it is what it is. He turned down 15. He turned down $15 million from Seattle. He's going to take less to play somewhere else. But I wanted more D-list celebrities and less Bettman. Steve Dave, team 2 relying on Jack. If he's healthy, we make the postseason. If not, they suck. Historically, yeah. Historically, you are correct. You need to hope that he stays healthy and that he has a monster year. If he plays 75-plus games, I think he's going to finish with 110-plus points. San Jose is about to be a wagon for the next decade. Yeah, I mean, I expect San Jose to firmly be on a lot of people's wish lists. When players in the future are like, oh, I want to be traded, San Jose is going to be on teams, on guys' lists for sure. Dire Distress, we have talent on our team, no doubt, but the pipeline is bare. Maybe Sonny lets Keefe loose. We see a different team. Anthony says fans are like JG Wentworth commercial. I want my money trade and I want it now. Suk says, I'd rather have Robertson than Quinn. I'd be curious to see what people think about that. Obviously, either one of them would be a monster addition and would improve any team. Jason said, I don't think Robo would come to Jersey. I think he could potentially be sold on it. Devils fan 36, I think fans are disappointed, Ace, because we thought this pick to get us a top 6 winger. The 12th pick has value. Now that's not an option. Getting a top 6 winger now doesn't look so hopeful. Well, it was gonna be, if this pick was involved, this pick alone wasn't going to do it. It was going to be this pick plus other picks. And I certainly understand, again, that people wanted to see win now pieces. I totally get it. They want the flashy name. They want something to get excited about. But I'm curious, let me know in the chat, people, would you have wanted to do the deal the Rangers did, or in terms of assets, an equivalent type of deal, and then pay him $11 million a year? I'm so curious to know. $15 million for Robo is wild. I think he ends up taking somewhere between 13 and 14 elsewhere. Yeah, there's a photo. Let me pull this up. This is a very young Jason Robertson in his New Jersey Devils little getup here that started circulating a couple days ago. Devil State of Mind podcast. What's up? How about we give Sonny a chance to build a team in his vision before we decide he's bad? The overreactions are a bit much. Oh, the overreactions are they're quite extreme in my opinion. I mean, I understand some people have made like valid points and rational thoughts, but there's just been straight up a little bit of lunacy. Trevor says, remember, Robo is a top 5 winger. 15 million isn't that crazy. In today's day and age, it's not. Andrew Lucas says, Bettman comes to my restaurant often. Actually, a very nice guy. I'd imagine you're somewhere in Bergen County, where he lives, I believe. Snow says to turn down 15 million is crazy. Well, it's where the 15 million was coming from. I don't think anyone's going to want to go to Seattle for quite some time. And it's a rough spot to be in as an organization. To be a place where you offer a guy $15 million times 8 years, and he was like, nah, I'm good. I'll see what else is out there. That's pretty brutal. That just speaks to the state of the Kraken. Andrew says taxes are too high in Cali for them to be a destination. I don't agree with that. Guys want to win. Yeah, taxes suck, but there's plenty of positives there. And it starts with Macklin Celebrini. Cheeseburger Daddy says Robo grew up a Devils fan even though he's from California and moved to Middle America in Michigan. Nick, none of the players live in Newark. Not a single player, to my knowledge, lives in Newark. There's plenty of places for them to live in New Jersey. If they want like the city life, they could live in Hoboken or Jersey City. If they want the more suburban life, there's plenty of towns in New Jersey for the guys with kids to live in. And so, to say who wants to live in Newark is a bit ridiculous because none of the players live there. there's plenty of options. JWoww says Grits is your top 6 winger. Need someone to play with Lenny on the third line. I think there's a good chance you end up seeing Grits there for sure. Even if the Devils get a top 6 winger, you still have another spot in the top 6 available. And so whether that's going to be Connor Brown or Grits, you're not getting 2 top 6 guys. So this is a brutal chat night. Slim Gut Outdoors says, I like picks. We need to rebuild the farm eventually anyways. Suk, if the Devils are going to just be stagnant, not going to make a splash, I say they missed on door 5. Did you want to pay him $11 million, though? That's what I'm asking. Would you have done the deal to get him and then pay him $11 million? He's sure probably seeking $13 million. I think the extension comes in well below that. Mooseman, how would the money work to sign Robo? Have to deal a bunch of contracts. Essentially, again, I'm not saying in the deal for Robo, but in separate deals or 1 or 2, you could essentially free that money up between Dougie and Mercer would basically get you there. SJ says Robo was a fan of Eliash, apparently, but at 15, I think I'll pass. What would your max be on him? Anson, Robo Jack Bratt would be a very dangerous line. A very, very dangerous line. Brandon says, I think I'll judge when Quinn is gone and Robertson is gone. Then I'll be annoyed when all the top pieces are off the market. So is that what you're waiting for? You're waiting to see where some of these other situations, how they play out. Then you're going to riot with the rest of these people. There's a couple months to tweak the rosters for all the general managers in the NHL. It wasn't all going to get solved tonight. Yeah, I think 13 could get it done. I think they said he preferred to stay in Dallas, but they only wanted to pay him 12. I feel like he should have just taken the 12 in Dallas if that's where he wants to be. But we'll see. That's another high drama situation. Where does Robertson end up? Zach said people are knocking Newark like Newark doesn't have some beautiful new apartment buildings near Peru and NJ Pack. Oh, and they do exist, but I still don't think any of the guys are, they're going to pick the Hoboken, Jersey cities. Justin Smith, 3 things certain in life: death, taxes, and pissed off Devils fans. Well, I knew if they drafted with the pick tonight that we were going to see a lot of this. I did underestimate the severity of it. Another move, picks for picks here. Timo's going to be 30 this year. I think it's windows open and close quickly. Yeah, Timo turns 30 right in the beginning of the season. Devils fan 36 says, I wish they never left the Meadowlands. The Meadowlands was a magical place. Continental Airlines Arena, Brendan Byrne, was a magical place for the glory years. Can Sunnymehta return this organization to glory in the new building? Cheeseburger Daddy says, I've got no problem paying Robo or Door 5. Anywhere from 11 to 15 is completely okay in my opinion because the cap is going up. Trevor says, Door 5 is a power play merchant. We need 5-on-5 players. Rangers still suck. R. Roma says nothing was solved tonight, though. That's the frustrating part. And I get that. The immediate needs, nothing was done in that regard. But there's still plenty of time in the offseason. Matthew E. says, see, Bill Guerin has it figured out. Rather overpay a guy and have them instead of not overpay and not have them. Well, a lot of people are waiting for the Billy G downfall. I don't think it's going to come for quite some time. And obviously he's taking risks, but he was literally just named general manager of the year because he is in ultra win now mode. Ultra win now mode. Some of these comments are crazy. Menelander says, who on Robo Jack Bratline is going to win 50-50 board battles with Carolina and Florida? Tell me. So I'm assuming that means you don't want Robertson. I would have probably predicted that. SST says names don't mean anything. You need a coach and a system. Look at Carolina. Yeah, and that's why I think people get caught up on the superstar big names. That doesn't guarantee success either. I think a guy like Marchenko could be a very valuable ad for this team. But there would be some people complaining about that too. Maybe Sonny's waiting to see what the team is at the deadline. Well, he's going to have pieces. He's going to have pieces at his disposal then. RME says Robo is fourth in the league in WAR. Cap is going up and up again soon. He's easily worth 13 plus, especially for a team lacking goal scorers. Yeah, I think people just have to realize these staggering numbers are what it is now in the new cap era. 13 million even is, let's see, on the just for the start of this season, it's at 104. So a $13 million contract is 12.5% of the cap. Seems pretty accurate to me for a guy like him. Nick Gallo, almost no one is resolving all their roster issues tonight. However, if Sonny's big offseason moves are trading Nemitz for futures, extending Nico and Grits, and signing a B-tier free agent, it's not a win. Slim Gut says you can't win now with this many terrible contracts and no cap to work with on the books. This is brutal, folks. I do think you're going to see the next level of Jack Hughes next year. I do think he's going to have a monster year. And I think with a couple right ads, which there's still plenty of time to do, the team could surprise some people. I'm just not sure. I mean, I do know why. Everyone just wanted to see a big name brought in. It's the same thing every season. Suk says Robo's a dog, but I get people hesitant to pay him that much. But what do you think he's going to go for? If you want top-tier talent, you're going to have to pay top-tier prices. Yeah, I think he was over a point per game in the playoffs. The not making Team USA, I think, really lit a fire under his behind. And he had a monster year. I'm just looking. He finished with 96 points. He played all 82 games, 45 goals, 51 assists, monster year. And 5 goals and 3 assists for 8 points in the 6 games against the Wild. Playoff performer. Over a point per game. Cisco Kid said Fitz really left Sunny a mess. That is completely accurate. Suk said if we got Robo for $15 million, I guarantee people would be so happy with him they don't even think about the contract price. Some people would. A lot of anti-Keefe comments in here. GM of the year, Billy G. This is JYDN. I had to search for a new channel. Thought you were extinct for a second, my guy. Glad I found you here, my dude. I know we didn't have the exciting trade, but let's go. I'm glad you found us. Glad you found us. New channel. A lot of the same characters dooming on a night where the New Jersey Devils used their 12th overall pick. Nick, isn't Nico expected to get in the 11.5 a year range? When you say it like that, Robo at 13 is a steal. No disrespect to Nico. Yeah, it's all about percentage of the cap. But people hear the number and they're like, oh, my God. The cap is going to be 104 and it's going to keep going up. So $13 million, I just did the math, is 12.5% of a $104 million cap. That falls right in line with what Robertson is worth. Magi says, I wouldn't even say a big name, but at least a significant name would be nice. We got an AHL dude and a depth D-man so far. We still got time. There's still plenty of time. Team Moo says, Amagi Legacy going to change the name to Amadeus Legacy. Vegas is in super win now mode all the time, and they're in on everybody. Aggressive. I think Nico, if he does want more than 11 million, it won't be much more. I think 11.5, 11, something like that. You'll find out on July 1st. Is Robertson top tier talent? Yes. No one guy is going to get it done alone. He had a great playoff. Trevor95 says, per David Pagnotta, Devils linked to DeBrincat. He scores goals, but I wouldn't want another small player. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, anywhere you could get production, but another smaller guy, I think everyone has been realizing that, they need to get a little bit tougher to play against, and I don't know that bringing him in does that. Brings offense. SJ says, Robo's only one left. Him and Larkin. Can Sonny get one? The Robertson thing's super interesting. Vecna, thank you for the therapy tonight. I don't know if you found any comfort here. This has been like a doomer convention. Codes X says, don't worry, guys. September comes, we'll have both Robo and Quinn here signed long term. I think that could be one of the more sensible and somewhat realistic moves to be made, Snow. But are we going to see someone else get him and then everyone's going to go into meltdown? Some people would be underwhelmed with that just because that's not the big name that so many of these people are looking for, but I think he would be a great fit. The core scoring more than 20 goals would help a lot too. Yeah, that would. That certainly would. What do we got here? No. No, he does not. No. So he turned down the $15 million from the Kraken, but that doesn't mean he wants more money than that. It just means he wasn't going to Seattle. I think he ultimately would take less money to play on a team that's good. Trevor, Robo is a 40-goal scorer, gritty and not small. When was the last time the Devils had a 40-goal guy? Well, that would be Jack Hughes in 22-23. The magical season. He said he turned down 15. Not many teams can offer that, so it had to do with the location. Yeah. Devils fan 36. The Chisholm trade makes no sense. Caps fans are thanking us. Well, why does it make no sense? I'm curious to know why you think that. Timu Larkin will force himself onto the Minnesota Wild. Those rumors got stronger today. I mean, that'd be crazy if they get him. That's just said I'll take DeBrincat if it's cheap. We need goals. And it's nothing. No one's going to be cheap. No one is going to be cheap. Chris S. says Marchenko isn't too far behind Robo talent-wise. Not even close, but maybe a welcome addition. Oh boy. Should I play the video again? Who was in here when you didn't see the I'm gonna play his highlight video again and run to the bathroom again. I drank a lot of water today. I try to stay hydrated. But 12 overall pick. Alexander Command. Back. Super out for blood.
Directing traffic. One of the better chances for Canada West so far. Here comes Sweden. Down the wing. He scores! How did that one go in? What a shot by the High Canada. It's still afternoon if you're tuning in from north of the border. One-timer. He scores! Come on! An absolute ripper. Top cheddar. No chance for Timmerman into the power play as the Swedes will not capitalize. Tironi's out of the box. He scores! Short side. Alexander Command. Right as Tironi stepped out of the box. Finds a hole. And they're in command. It's 1-0. Doesn't maybe need to score. Needs to take time off the clock, and he does that so well. Come on. Looking for Zeroth. He's in. He scores. What a feed. Official says no. Alley's out the other way. What happened? Craziness.
Elofsson fans. Has it again. Feathers it. Command. Finds Zeroth. He scores. Great feed. Excellent finish. And Sweden jumps in front.
Little highlight reel. This really is heavy dooming. The dooming is super high right now, and the only thing I could continually say is the season's not starting tomorrow. I understand the disappointment to an extent, but I feel like it's at pretty wild levels right now. Oh man, I'm getting texts that look very similar to some of these chats. Nick said, I'll take any top six winger. I know you're big on Mercer, but I can't see Mercer and Brown in the top six anymore. So I'll say it's not that I'm big on Mercer. I just think for $4 million, people were expecting too much. And I understand that everyone, first round draft pick, he had a big rookie season and everyone thought he was going to be like I don't know what people thought, a 70-point guy, but I think he's a good bottom six player. I don't think he's a top six player at this point either. If he's in the top six, I would say that's problematic. I would agree with that. But people talk about him as if he's terrible. And I just cannot, read those types of comments and not defend him to the point of he's a good bottom six player. He's not what people had hoped he would turn into, but he's not this terrible player that a lot of people talk about so often. How do I feel about the roster? I think it needs help, as I've said for a long time. I think the core has potential, but they're not going to get it done on their own. They need the right complementary pieces put around them. and give Sonny some time to do that. Just because they drafted tonight doesn't mean that other things can't happen. It just seems like a lot of people are kind of going off the deep end and off the rails because they drafted with the pick. And certainly the pick would have been a nice piece to package in a trade for a player now, but there's still ways to improve this team before the season starts. There's going to be trades around the league throughout the summer. Just skimming. You guys are very chatty. The negative, Devils fan 36 says his salary is double the league minimum and he's probably the 7th D. This is about Chisholm. If I had to bet, I don't know if you were in the other live earlier. I think that was a foreshadowing of another move on the defense. I do think that Sonny believes he could be an everyday player. I think that is the belief at the moment. Again, this is speculation, but I don't think they got him to be the 7th D. Voronkov would be a sneaky good ad. He's a massive, he's the guy that cheap shot at Dilly. Big boy. R. Roma said my mock draft was Command McKenna Stenberg. What? No, definitely no Everclear. Oregano, do you think you're ready for the dooming that will take place for an entire season? Like, really think about that. Are you ready? No, I don't want to think about it at all. I don't have a breathalyzer handy, but I promise you I've drank 0 alcohol today. 0. Codes X. This chat is so doomed it should be the trailer for Avengers Doomsday. There's like 2 players in free agency I'd sign. I'm gonna do some stuff on that probably in a couple days. I have some ideas. Stuart, we couldn't even make the move for Dorofeyev from Vegas. Wouldn't have cost us number 12. Did you want to pay him $11 million a year? That's what I'm asking you, Stuart. Would you want to pay him $11 million a year? Take care, Anson. Corey SG, they need a left wing to play with Nico and Timo, and they need a right wing to play with Jack and Bratt, Mercer, Brown, Glass, and Hammy. They need 2 more bottom 6. Stewart, the only major trade pieces available are Robo and Nyes. Without the number 12 doubt, we get Nyes. Don't see them getting Robo. I never thought Nyes was really getting dealt. A lot of people have been talking about him, I guess, because his name was popping up around the trade deadline. There could be guys in play that haven't been a name that's out there, keep in mind. I understand everyone gravitates towards the names that are out there and people are talking about, but there very well could be a move where it was a guy that people didn't see as one of these available players. That happens as well. Presify, it's hilarious to me blaming Sonny. It's hilarious. Fitz left us with all this mess, but no, let's blame Sonny for everything. Bunch of casuals. Wait till July 1st. The only thing I could say is give it some time. I know, but people, I sort of understand, like I said, to some extent, but the extreme levels that people are going to is a bit strange. And I want to know, did you guys want to do that deal for Door 5 and then pay him $11 million? I would tell you, I don't think that's a great investment. Do I think he would make the Devils and any team better if you got him? Yes. But at $11 million, can you spend that money better elsewhere? I would say that you could. Good night, Justin. Jason knows how to take a shot on Tarasenko. He was a guy a couple years ago that I thought would have been an interesting guy to try to get. SJ says they will trade back at 35 and pick a worse player, book it. Greer, a lot of people talking about Greer for the bottom six. James, just joining, thoughts on drafting instead of dumping the pick. I obviously thought, or as I've thought, that this team should be in win now mode for the past few years. I did think they would try to trade the pick, and I'd have to believe that Sonny probably did try. And I know you guys have post Fitzgerald stress disorder and the coming in second. People have already been saying all of these things, and I get it. But overall, I would say I really did think they should have traded it. But I also believe if there was nothing worthwhile to trade it for, then you don't just trade it for the sake of trading it. And I think that's what happened. Brandon T, I agree with that so hard. We need to get a top 6 left winger to replace Timo so you can go to right wing. In this hypothetical world that Robertson was available, I put that $11 million towards him. Whether it's 13 or whatever his ask is, if they could make the space, I think that's money better spent. Nick Gallo, state of the Devils currently is not Sonny's fault. He's really been in the role for like 2 weeks, more than that, but I get it. But if he mentions building for the future anytime soon, it will be egregiously annoying. He's on record saying he does want to win now and wants to win later. Let the record show. Corey said, it really seems outside of Calgary, no one wants to deal with us. I mean, obviously we've done several deals with them, but I don't think that's the case either. It's going to be late September for the 84 game season. We have a direct line from Jersey to Calgary. Matty Ice 30, in my opinion, we need more North American players. We keep drafting European players, and it hasn't worked out that well for us in years. Yes, I get Nico, but he was a first overall, and Bratt was a gem. I like North American players too, but we've had North Americans that didn't pan out just as at the same frequency. If you look back historically, Stillman is, I guess, one of the more recent ones that comes to mind. SJ, I just want Timo on the right side for a whole season. Too much to ask, though. SST, as of now, the Devils are not making 2027 playoffs. I'll disagree with that one. I think they're a playoff team. All Swede, no finish. A lot of anti-Timo people in here. Shedding Timo's $8.8 million is absolutely more beneficial than keeping him here to be bad. It shouldn't even be a decision. Let's see if he gets power play time. Let's see what he looks like this year. The bloodthirsty crowd. Twitter's. Wow. Anyone have anything else? This has been quite a night. Quite a night. Yeah, Quenville, Mateau. Oh man. Yeah, this may be one of the most negative nights in quite some time. Since that Islander beating. Definitely since the Islander 9-0 game. Corey, 5 from Atlantic, 3 from Metro for this year's playoffs. Yeah, I mean, you want to, for everyone in the Metro, you want to finish in the top 3. That's your most likely path to the playoffs. The Atlantic is going to be lethal. No wild cards coming from the Metro. That very well could be the case. A lot of Atlantic teams are going to be looking to take those spots. James, it amazed me how people are mad at Sonny. Let's be real. You cannot be mad at him. Fitz left a huge wreck. It's going to take some time to bend this team back into place. People don't want to hear that, James. They wanted to see a star player brought in. They wanted to see the star player brought in. Suk says there's actually no shot anyone thinks this team has constructed and makes next year's playoffs, right? I think they will make the playoffs. Jack Hughes, a healthy Jack Hughes, with the other pieces they have. I'm not saying they're going to go on a deep run, but if Jack stays healthy, I think that alone, with the other guys we have here, it gets you in the playoffs. Now, how far you go, that's a whole different story. But I think you're going to see a monster season from Jack Hughes. And again, guys, the season is not starting tomorrow. There's going to be some changes. I'm sure everyone's going to complain about those two and say they're underwhelming, but I'm firmly predicting them to make the playoffs. Yeah, North American prospect Chase Stillman. SJ says if Jack is healthy, huge if they make the playoffs. Matthew E., if Keefe does work out, can we look at, I guess doesn't work out, can we look at Barry Melrose? What? Barry Melrose has been out of the game for a while. I believe he's sick, unfortunately. I think. Dogzilla, been watching highlights from Sweden. Command kid looks legit. Good shot as well. Excellent passing. Super elite ratings and analytics. Probably why Sonny got him. For sure. For sure. You know the analytics have to be good on him when that's a huge component of their evaluation process. Oh, now we're into Sports Center. Nick says Hughes is healthy to make the postseason, but I still think it's a limit. It's possible. Also, I don't know why we expect good things to happen to this team. Show talk. If Markstrom is our goalie, we can have Gretzky, McDavid, and Crosby and still not make the playoffs. I disagree with that as well. I think the Jack Hughes factor is going to be what guides the team. And if he stays healthy, I think they're going to be a good team, a playoff team. They might limp in but get crushed in 4 or 5 either way. That's okay for teams not expecting to be there, but for this team's aspirations, it's a travesty. I agree that would be a travesty. Getting to the playoffs and losing in 4 or 5 games would be a travesty. Our Roma playoffs? Playoffs? Are people really talking themselves into this team making the playoffs? This team is not good and is never healthy. If Jack stays healthy, again, big if, but last season, it's not like he suffered an on-ice debilitating injury. It was a freak thing which led to the derailment of the season. I did. Carson came in on a live at some point. For sure. James, as Kenny Rogers said, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. Never count your money sitting at the table. Sonny knows this. Corey SG, Devils need to work on not giving up the first goal. Yeah, that would definitely be helpful. Playing with a lead instead of playing from behind. SJ, disappointing that Brat, Nico, or Timo can't keep this team afloat without Jack is jarring. That was a big element of last season as well, that the big guns weren't the big guns, or they weren't big enough when Jack went down. If he stays healthy, they'll be a decent team and they'll make the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. I think you're going to see a next level Jack Hughes next year. All right, it's late. Anyone have anything else? What a night. What a night. But the only thing I could say is, let the rest of the offseason play out. There's still ways for this team to be improved. I understand many of you got, antsy as other teams are making deals, and you see these trades announced, and people getting FOMO, and everyone else is getting players. But there's still plenty of offseason. There will be more trades around the league. There is free agency, even though it's a pretty underwhelming free agency class. But I think there's going to be changes. I know everyone's just like overreacting in the moment. The only entertaining part of the night was this chat. It was pretty brutal. Suk, I just don't want another season where I'm checked out by January, February. I don't think that will happen. Jungle Static, totally FOMO. I agree, because other teams seem to be getting great players and there isn't really much left for us to get. So forgive me for being bummed about running it back for another year. Fair point if you're saying that the night before the season starts. Like I said before, there's plenty of guys that could be traded that aren't being talked about right now. Not every guy that gets dealt, there's obviously the big targets that everyone's talking about right now and the guys like Kyrou and Tuck that everyone knew about. But there'll certainly be some guys that kind of come out of nowhere. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know, not every guy that gets dealt, not every guy is known about or talked about in the media prior to them being traded. So I think there's plenty of options. That for the team to be improved. Yeah, the pick wasn't connected to Nemo. What's going on, Evan? Just dealing with the overwhelming negativity. Matthew E., I think that is a pretty self-explanatory answer. Jay Sharon, just got to hope for a mix of moves. I don't hate the pick. The optics people have created surrounding the must trade it now is annoying. I don't know. Either way, good talking to everyone. And maybe one random day in July or August we'll have a positive chat. For now, it's looking grim. SJ, this was the draft pick to trade. Next 2 years' drafts are loaded. Nick, do you think the trade frenzy around the league is mostly done till the deadline after today, tomorrow? No, there's still tons of guys being talked about. And like I just said before, there's probably guys that are being discussed in deals that people haven't talked about. Not everything is like a known thing. Like everyone, Tuck with the contract. Oh, everyone knew Tuck probably. Kyrou has been kind of kicked around for a while. Like certain guys, could possibly be moved, but I'm sure there's guys that no one has remotely talked about that will get dealt at some point this offseason. That will happen. And it might not be the big names that's going to get everybody excited, but it doesn't mean that they can't improve a team nonetheless. Jungle Static, I feel like we're talking about another Sprong or something, other than maybe Jason Robertson or something, bunch of long shots and don't have much to offer. Few picks, no prospects, few players. The only thing I could say is the same thing I've just been constantly saying is give it time and let it shake out. That's the only thing I could say. The guy inherited a disaster, or not a complete disaster, but a lot of problem areas. He's not going to fix them all in one day. He's not going to fix them all in 1 year. I do believe he has a plan, and he's going about his plan. Jungle Static, I take your point, man. If we were talking about this the day before the season starts, though, I'm going to hold you to it. Thanks again. Now, listen, I would be fairly critical of his summer if nothing is done between now and when the season starts. Then, again, not to the level that of you people or some of you people, but that would be a sizable fail in my opinion. And I think that would be justified at that point. But it is June 26th. It's not August 26th or September, but August 26th, that's 2 months from now, it'd probably be most things would be done by then. Yeah, I mean, it's June 26th. You could hold me to it, Jungle Static. And I don't blame Sonny for this. It may take a long time to fix things. I just don't know if when now is in the cards. We'll see. We will see. What will happen for the rest of this offseason leading up to puck drop on the 26-27 NHL season? I'll be livid if they run it back expecting different results. That's literally insanity. And I agree with that. But tonight is not the end of the line, and that is my whole point. I think some of these criticisms and these, statements would be fair if the season was about to start. Then I would say, okay, nothing was done to improve this roster. It is insanity bringing the same exact group back, but we're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet. And so I understand this was the first step. The draft is the first step or first big opportunity, I should say, for teams to swing for the fences and make these big deals, and the Devils didn't do any. Fine. But there's still lots of time ahead leading up to the season for moves to be made. So save that energy for a little bit. Yeah, usually mid-July, Matty Ice. The last couple of years, I think mid-July is when the schedule comes out. Should be an interesting one. Hopefully the schedule makers did not wait till, what was last year, December? Or was it January? Was it January? I think, or no, what am I saying? It was March. Wasn't it March? The Devils and Rangers didn't play till March. Completely insane. That was the first matchup. Was like March 7th. Yeah, March 7th. Nutty. Yeah, hopefully they don't do that again. That was wild. Suk says, here's to hoping. Regurgitator, what's up? Sunny is Fitz 2.0 so far. Oh, man. Can you guys just give him the summer? Just give him the summer. If the season starts and there was nothing done, then you could come with all these comments and things. But there's still plenty of time to make moves. Beachmaster said signing Nico will be a big tell. A big tell in what way? Corey, not sure who we try and get. To be honest, Robo's too much money unless he takes a discount because he was a Devils fan as a kid. Marchenko would be an ideal target. Both are still potentially on the table. And either one, I think, would be an amazing addition to the team. Jungle Static, hey, on your Italy trip, what was that amazing-looking sandwich you had? I think it was the night before the final game. Oh, man. So I don't know if you'll be able to make it exactly. You could make like I'll type it in the chat. I don't know if you'll be able to find the exact ingredients. So the meat was crudo, which is basically an insanely good type of prosciutto. So if you can't find crudo, which you probably can't, but it was just that, and it was phenomenal. Make sure you get good bread. Bread is always crucial. The bread's got to be on point. Can make or break the entire thing. No. I did try one of that, and I did try that in one of the other sandwiches, but the best one by far was the crudo. I do think they sell it in some places actually. I think I forget where. It's not cheap, but it's delicious. Post Lamorello Devils. Suk says, "I'll give him the summer." Okay, give him the summer, then come back with the venom if nothing's done. TJK says we are getting impatient. TJK, in 12 years, nothing to show for it. Habs and Sharks took a few years and are looking really scary. Well, for the Sharks, when you get a guy like Celebrini, that's going to accelerate everything. Obviously. World's Worst Gamer, Devils coming out with the new jersey to distract fans from the disappointment. Is that a real thing? Or is that just a joke? I was like, what? There's no way that, yeah. Yeah, the arugula. You make your own bread. Nice. Yeah, that sandwich was, but make sure you're not skimpy with the ingredients. My guy, wait, I have the... Got all dusty on the floor. I was able to get the hat. Faravelli's Deli. What a memory. This was a late scoop. Beautiful piece. Memories from a great trip to see Team USA in Milano. Make sure you put a lot of stracciatella on that thing, though. World's Worst Gamer, they didn't even take the center I wanted. I was up for Jack Hextall if we took a center. Matty Ice, I'm expecting a big year for Luke. He missed training camp due to the contract negotiations, and players that miss training camp due to that normally don't have a good year. You never like to see those things linger on. And hopefully, Gritz is a restricted free agent. Hopefully that's done very soon. I hate when you see these things bleed into camp. I do think missing time and all that's not good. The jersey will be ugly. I think it's going to be a pretty nice jersey. they're doing a league-wide, I forget what they call it, it's like City something, City Remix. I do think it's going to be something very similar to a reversing, a flipping of the colors of the Stadium Series jersey. Regurgitator, if this, I'm drinking more and caring more about the Giants. Sonny's on my list. Zito hid all his secrets from Poker Boy. Can you wait till the end of the summer? Just wait till the end of the summer. Jungle Static, nice. I was joking with my wife. I wonder what those guys would think of a Ripper. It would be interesting, right? To see the reaction. TJK, if this team does run it back with an identical roster, I will refuse to show any care to this team. Again, at least wait till it happens. There's going to be some minor deals at a minimum. But I understand that that's going to be perceived as the same group, obviously, if there's nothing of impact done. And at that point, you'd be way more justified than you are the night of the draft, June 26th. Still plenty of time for moves to be made. So we wait and see. Dogzilla, Command as an asset is extremely high value. Hope the Devils keep and develop him, but he also could be part of a deal in the following weeks. If Sonny has something cooking, peeps stop dooming. I don't think they're going to trade him at all. That would be kind of strange, but anyone have anything else? Closing time. This was a brutal night. Everybody just wait. Just wait and see. You don't know what this man is working on. There's probably things in the works. At least something. I don't think he's going to do nothing. I know a lot of you are just waiting to come back out with the venom. The Devils should play poker face before every Sunny presser. It'll be hard seeing Marchenko and Robo and the rest go to other teams this summer, though. It will make me sad. Matty Ice, you think the Devils shake anything up on the D-cores it's set in stone? No, I said before, I think that move to get Chisholm from the Capitals is a kind of foreshadowing of something else to come. I don't think they have interest in paying him $1.6 million to be a seventh D-man or a minor leaguer. I do think there's a very good chance we see one of the veterans on the left side moved out, and that would free it. You know, that's a cap savings there. If you replace a guy making $3 million plus or whatever it may be, depending on who it is, for a guy making 1.6, that's found money to allow you to go out and address some of the other needs. I don't think that that's going to be a minor league move. It could be, but it just doesn't seem that way. Yes, Salayev, that'll be another interesting story in camp. Matthew E. Ace about to go eat 4 large Domino pizzas. No, I'm definitely not doing that. Corey, I'll wait until after tomorrow's draft day to see how I feel. Traveling says Sonny's in the hot seat on his first draft day. And it's just people, wanting immediate gratification, instant gratification, and to see a big name. And I get it. But some of you are talking like the season is about to begin and it's the exact same team. That could happen. There is a chance that happens, but there's still a whole off season to go before that is the case. So why don't you give the guy a little slack? He's become the punching bag for the previous administration, and all that built up anger is now coming out at Sonny. World's Worst Gamer, if Sonny had come out and said we were just filling the system and had been straight about it, I would have been fine. But that's even more ridiculous, World's Worst Gamer. So if he said that from the beginning, and who even knows if that's the case, but let's just play hypothetical, right? If he had said that, then you're okay with it. Then you're fine with it. If he just told you ahead of time, then you'd be fine with it. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Sorry, the team you hate the most won the cup. The Hurricanes have just been a pesky, pesky thorn in the side. World's worst gamer, honesty is the best policy. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. If you're mad that he drafted with the pick, then it seems kind of childish to me that you wouldn't have been mad if he stated that from the beginning. Furthermore, I do believe there's a very good chance that the Devils were not certain they were going to draft with the pick up until maybe an hour or so before the draft. I'm sure he was talking about dealing it, and there was no definitive anything. And so they just kind of went along and waited to see how things shook out. And then it turns out there was no deal. And then they drafted with it. Corey, who do you want Chisholm replacing on the left side? Dilly Siegs. I mean, listen. I believe that heart and soul guys are not easy to come by nowadays. And I would classify Brendan Dillon as one of those players. Now, I know people probably pull out charts and all these things and whatever. I think a guy like Brendan Dillon brings you way more than what's on any chart or graph. And so for me, I think it would be a little foolish for them to move on from him, because I do think he brings a lot of intangibles. And obviously he brings a lot of that grit and feistiness as well that I think the team needs more of. And to get rid of one of the biggest, a guy that checks that box the most, I think would be a little frightening. Going to be a video, an article on this. No one that I think is like a must go after, but some guys that are intriguing. Michael Russell, and this is fair too. He didn't ever come out and say he was going to make a huge splash. That is 100% true. Traveling, give the man a chance to right the ship. People want to see something immediately. They're all of their goodwill was used up with Fitz. Jonathan, I think it feels worse because we haven't seen improvements from off-season training camps into seasons over the last few years. Very stagnant development. Michael Russell, hearing some of these people's comments make me fear for our future. I'm not sure what that means exactly. He says, learn some patience. Good luck with that, Michael. After a night like tonight, patience is non-existent. World's Worst Gamers to send Kovacevic to San Jose. Well, he's got trade protection too. Maybe they go to him and try to look to move him. I don't know, but he was coming back from a severe injury as well. I mean, I do think there's a world where he looks better than he did last year. He missed what? How many months was he rehabbing and out for? Fitz's arrows cut deep with this fan base. Absolutely. Dominic, I remember a lot of Devils fans wanted us to trade the number 1 pick in 2017, and some were even mad that we were picking Nico ahead of Nolan Patrick. Thank you, Ace, for talking sense into us. I don't think I'm talking sense into anybody. I'm just giving you my honest opinion, and I think some of these comments would be way more valid if the season was starting tomorrow. Then it'd be like, okay, nothing happened. They are bringing back the same team. Seems a little hopeful, but the fact that it's June 26th, I think a lot of these criticisms are super premature. World's Worst Gamer Patience. When was the last time we played an Eastern Conference Final? The last time the Devils played an Eastern Conference Final was obviously 2012, 14 years ago, but that is not Sunnymehta's fault or problem, right? So I understand all of it, that the team has been mostly bad for 14 years. I totally get it, but this guy just got here. And so to expect him to be a miracle worker, I think is unrealistic. Travelin says, anyone ever asked themselves how many top players want to come to NJ right now? And that's also kind of a sad reality that people have to come to grips with. Like I talked about on the prior live hours ago, it wasn't any coincidence that Dylan Larkin and Brady Tkachuk's wish lists for teams were very similar, and they both had Vegas, Minnesota, and Florida on it because they're proven winners with general managers that are maneuvering in a win now mode, trading away futures and trying to get win now pieces. Sonny Mehta may very well get the Devils in a year or two to that level where guys on the outside are like, I would like to go play in New Jersey with Jack Hughes. They look like they're in a position to contend for the near future, but they're not there as of today. That could all change with one decent season. Yeah. Man, Devils fan 36. They start this offseason. The start of this offseason looks as though they'll have a higher draft pick next year. Ethan Ace, what team would you want us to face on opening night if you had to choose? Opening night? Are you talking about the home opener or just the first game of the season? That matters a little bit. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see some sort of intense game off the bat. Opening night, they'll never do it, but Rangers would be cool. Florida Panthers would be cool. Yeah, I guess anyone other than Carolina. Traveling, seems like the Panthers and Wild are the front runners for the top players trade list. Yeah, along with Vegas and probably Carolina and maybe a couple others. But teams that are in a position to win now and have general managers that are looking to do anything they can to improve their team constantly. Billy Guerin. Congratulations to Billy Guerin. What a legend that man is. GM of the year. And it came out. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but I got a good chuckle when the report officially came out. He was trying to get Brady Tkachuk. He is trying to get everybody. Anyone who's out there that he thinks could improve his team, he is in the mix trying to get them. Crazy. That's how you win now. Corey said, as Fitz would say, it's got to come from within. Vegas will get Larkin. Tasha, damn, you're still on. This is a new live. I took a brief hiatus. There was a conference call, and then I came back. Jonathan, I'm not sure how much it has to do with contention. How much has to do with contention with outside help? Newark is not a very nice place, to be blunt. Jersey has just become okay. Weather tends to stink too. I mean, this is a little. Come on. Newark is not the greatest place on earth, but no one lives there. They live in Jersey City, Hoboken, all different suburbs throughout northern New Jersey. There's plenty of great places to live, and there's a lot of good things about New Jersey. So, I think it's if you guys have learned nothing more in the last week or two, is that just winning means everything. Winning is everything. Winning cures all. Winning fixes all. Have a winning team that has demonstrated they are trying to win now. You will attract players. Period. Geographically, or whatever you want to call it, Minnesota is not some super desirable place. But guess what? They are in win now mode, and they have Billy Guerin at the helm making win now moves on the regular. That's why players want to go there. Winning is the number one thing for all these guys, or most of them. There's some guys that would prefer the money, and probably easier for them to do after they had won a cup. But for most guys, winning is number one by far, and they'll leave money on the table to play for a winner. And eventually you'll see that with Robertson. He turned down $15 million from the Kraken. He's not going to get more from somewhere else. He'll likely go to a team that is a much better team, and he'll sign for less because he values winning. Ethan, I hope we get a home opener, season opener. That stuff is fun. The first game of the season, I'd pick the Sharks. That'd be a fun one. The location of the arena matters, and Newark is not ideal. I don't really think that the location of the arena matters much. I mean, in the context of what exactly? The location of the arena matters for what? Vegas is definitely going to make a big move. Yeah, exactly, Snow. It's not about weather or anything else. It's, do players legitimately believe they could win a cup with your team? Jersey has the bada bing. Tasha says winning cures all. World's worst gamers, so Devils may have to take risks on Kuzmenko and Line. Nobody wanted to go to Carolina before. Jay Snow says, I think Quinn's afraid to tell Billy G he wants to leave. It's an interesting theory. I do think that extension gets announced. Dominic, I think it has less to do about Jersey and more to do with the Devils' culture, which Fitz did not help. How is Sonny supposed to fix that in a day? He's not fixing it all, even in an offseason. But I do believe that he has a plan, whatever that may be, and he's going to go about it however he goes about it. But give him the summer at least before you guys start killing him. I mean, wow. Yeah, some people still don't want to go to Carolina. Corey said paid Line and Mill on a price it prove it deal. He's going to get more than that. The Islanders would be an interesting season opener. Yeah, Rod Brindamore, you. Suk says this offseason is going to be about fixing Utica. Bank on it. What makes you think that? Oh, man, what a night. What a night. I'm beaten up. You guys are... Give him the summer. Give this guy the summer. He inherited a complete disaster in some regard with being able to maneuver cap space and trade protection and all that. And you guys are just no patience for the newbie. Tosh, I know you wanted Belchitz, but I don't know. I think Command's going to be a good one. I was interested in Belchitz too, but I think the skating knock is probably what kept some teams from picking him higher. Jay Snow says Habs and Utah in on Marchenko. Why not the Devils? They could be. That's what I'm just saying. Before you guys get all crazy, wait to see what happens in the next couple months. People are acting like the season is starting tomorrow. And like, oh, he did nothing all summer. It was the draft. The first round of the draft was tonight. Slaying Ice 222. I agree. Many fans, especially on X, are way overreacting with Sonny. Give the dude some time to make moves. This is what happens when you come in as a general manager after a guy left a fan base so beaten down. All right, guys, that's it. This was a very interesting evening. I appreciate all of you for coming out. Sign up for NJ.com, folks. Sign up for NJ.com. Tons of articles this summer, throughout the season, looking to bring you some very interesting, in-depth coverage of this New Jersey Devils club that many of you are just super negative about at the moment. But give this guy the summer. I mean, what? You guys are out looking for blood. But articles and videos all summer long. NJ.com. Obviously, subscribe for this channel if you're not subscribed. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Tell your friend, tell your friend's friend, tell your cousin, tell your mother. Send them the link. Tell them to subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Put on the notifications. I'm trying to think. Do I have anything else? Follow me on X. I've been doing better of saying that. I think the thing is in the chat or pinned in the chat, but I'll throw it out there again. Oh, man. I've been trying to maintain positivity for 14 years. I get it. It's been a long time since this team has been consistently good. I certainly understand it. And a lot of things have gone awry in that time frame. Give Sonny at least the summer. I mean, what do we... God. I would love to see him pull off something sizable and then for everybody to have to deposit their apologies in the comments for being overly negative on June 26th. The night of the first round of the draft. But we'll see. But hit the thumbs up. Do all the stuff. I'm going to do some more research on command. See what else I could dig up. But I think he could be a good player. But I understand no one cares about that. You guys want the win now pieces to help this core. And I get it. But there's still 2 months. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, I'm out.